How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Getting to Do With It. I'm Will, and well, I'm opening what you saw on the thumbnail, and that is Age of Heroes, or Marvel Age of Heroes by WizKids Games. This is a game that is based off of the Lords of Waterdeep system. Never played Lords of Waterdeep, see the theme, don't think either of you would enjoy it as much. However, this was Marvel, loved the look of it, loved the art of it, so we reached out to WizKids and said we would definitely like to play this on the channel. So we're going to go ahead and get inside and see what comes in the box. Can't really tell you how it plays because, well, I haven't read the rules or played Lords of Waterdeep. But that said, let's go ahead and flip over the camera. There we go. This is Age of Heroes. Like I said, the art is beautiful. This watercolor print on the art is, I think, what's drawing a lot of people in. Recruit the X-Men and defeat the forces of evil. A tense strategy game by Rodney Thomas. All right, and then we'll flip over on the upside down to see how badly I can mess up my storage that I did. So I'm going to show you guys how I got it all to fit in this box, at least somewhat neatly. Marvel Age of Heroes is an epic strategy game in which each player commands a duo of X-Men who are dispatched to defeat, now that's kind of a half line, magics by herself, villains to complete objectives in unique and challenging scenarios. The winning team will collect resources, manage your skills, train their mutants, and outpace the competition, earning victory points on the way. That's one thing a lot of people said is, like, thematically, does that work? There was a whole thread on it on BGG, and it's, well, it is what it is, right? The theme at least has got me interested in playing a Lords of Waterdeep style game, right? So board games, where's our, there it is. 60, 90 minutes, 14 plus, 2 to 5 players. Of course, you can see your uncanny mutants there and some of the bad guys. The art does go throughout the game, so that's really nice. It's not like, oh, they did the art for the box and then gave up. The cards and stuff have the similar art. So first thing we have here is the rulebook, so introduction, so nice little flavor text. The objective, right, getting the victory points. List of components, all of your acrylic standees, which are nice, and your tokens. This is setting up the institute, so this is the main board setup, and then they do have different scenarios. So they have your Children of the Atom, which is your first game recommendation. Fatal Attractions would be a more advanced game. And then Follow the Mutants, I guess, is the most advanced game. Similarly with the players, your player board, there's two sides, there's blue and gold. Gold is a more advanced side than the blue. I read a little bit, I haven't read much. Overview, icon, nice little icon thing. I don't remember seeing a player aid for these icons. Would prefer a player aid. Taking turns, your locations, explaining each of the locations, what you can do, danger room, research, dormitories, your X-Jet, passing your turn, let's see here, what do you got, playing your allies and team up cards. So each one is going to have a set of, like I said, 2 X-Men characters, so you're going to have 2 sets of cards and then 2 sets of standees that you can use. Event cards, your evolution cards, those are the cards I was talking about, where you can basically improve your characters with those decks of cards. Completing your missions, dealing damage with cards. Of course, you are going to, well, it's a fighting game, it looks like, so it's kind of like it's a crossbreed. It's a Euro with fighting aspect, where you're beating up the or in this case says beating the villain. Nice example. Hi, Beanie Beans. Beanie's had a frog in her throat, or I guess a hairball. I keep thinking she has a hairball, but she's a dog, and that doesn't work very well. End of round, and how to win the game. And again, that art, that beautiful art, is just that kind of watercolor style art is throughout the entire game. Now, it's got Emma Frost here, so I'm guessing she's going to be in one of the character decks that you can get. Additional rules, drawing cards, turn order, the student pawns. I guess you're using them to train them, make them better. Scoring tokens. And they do have the, okay, so they do have the iconography here, and they have the turn order and everything here on the back. Again, I prefer a player aid because, I mean, I'm going to have the book because the book's always out whenever we play, but it's just nice if everybody kind of had something similar. I guess the whole purpose is they think, okay, just take this and just photocopy it yourself, print your own out. So here are the player boards. So this one is Cyclops and Jean Grey. I don't know if there is a different... yeah, so they can have up to 4 students. So when we get to the other ones, they've got a different amount. The tracks are all the same. The number of each of their pawns is going to differ as well. And then the bottom, their upgrade costs actually are different as well. So Completely asymmetric, which me and Oddity like asymmetric games, maybe me more than Oddity, because I like to have a variety. I don't want to feel like I'm playing the same game every time. And then here is the second side, the gold side, which again, more asymmetry. You get a special power that you also get to use on your turn. So that is Jean and Cyclops. I do like this, and I mentioned this once before, and I think another video or an unboxing or gameplay. These are becoming slightly common. I don't know how common, but the problem with dual layer boards is when you glue two boards together, depending on the humidity and the conditions of when they manufactured it versus when it gets to you, and the glue they used and the moisture, the whole nine, right? It actually causes dual layer boards to warp. Love dual layer boards, very nice for making things stay in space, but this works. I don't know why this was never the thought process for a dual layer board. Your thing is going to stay in there. I mean, even on a table like this where we have the felt underneath, it's going to stay in that spot. So that's a great solution to the dual layer board. Prevents a little bit of that warping and bowing that happens, and you know, probably costs less overall as well. Then the next combo is Forge and Storm. So you can see here they only have 2 students. You get 2 Forge, but you get 4 Storm. And like we mentioned, the bottom changes a little bit. And then there is same thing, special ability for them. You guys can pause and read any of that you want to. Or, I don't know, some people like making TTS mods, so I think they like these kinds of unboxings where you show everything, because then they can just take a snapshot and add it into TTS. So this is Kitty Pryde. She's going to have a total of 5 of hers and only 1 Lockheed token. 3 students, same thing there, difference on the bottom. And then this is her advanced ability. And then we got Rogue and Gambit, of course. So some of these pairings is like, okay, they make sense. The Storm and Forge, I'm not totally sure with that pairing. I mean, I know, of course, Storm was married to Black Panther. I didn't realize. So Storm and Forge actually have 5 total evolutions. And the other, let's see here, Jean and Gray and Cyclops had 4, Kitty had 4. So these can actually be different too. Yeah, they've got 5 as well. But yeah, some of the pairings just seem weird. Like, I guess technically there's nobody else to put Storm with, but they could have done the same thing they did with Magic and just have it be a single character. But so 2 for them. You get 2, 2, and then you get 1 of each. So that's a little bit different too in how you unlock them, I guess. Like I said, you get the 5 tracks at the bottom, and then there is your advanced ability. I haven't read any of these because I don't know what the symbols mean, so that's the other reason why I wasn't reading them. Then, of course, you get Jubilee and Wolverine, 4, 3, and then you get 2 with 4 Wolverines. Of course, you're going to get more Wolverines than Jubilees. And then on this side, you get your special ability as well. So I know this is victory points. So for example, this one, score victory point each time you assign Wolverine to a team up card. So, and the last one is Magic. Like I said, not sure why she's solo. Like they could have put her with her brother, Peter, right? They could have done with Colossus, but they didn't. But you have 2, 6, and then she has 6. So she's actually got the most evolution cards. I don't know if that's because of some limitation because she's only 1 type of character. Maybe there are things that say send 2 characters and she's not technically 2 characters. And then this is the advanced side. When you take the play evolution action, I don't know what those symbols mean, you can do 2 instead of 1. Okay, so she can double evolved when you play on the advanced side. All right, these are just generic tokens. So your player colors, you get to be either aqua, purple, magenta, white, or gray. And I'm probably not going to remember where I had all these, which is going to be fun trying to box it back up. But you can see kind of how I got it boxed in here. I've got all of the setup components here for the different scenarios. So you have your Fatal Attraction fits perfectly by itself and it hits the top. The Fall of the Mutants there, and then these 2 stacks are the villain Children of the Atom. Now, the way to get the box to this height, you do need to put in the punch boards at the bottom. So at the bottom, I've got all, I think, but 2 of the punch boards, plus, of course, I don't have the plastic from the acrylic or the acrylic sheet from the acrylic pieces. It's not in the bottom. So it's pretty much all of them but 2. So we'll go through, I don't know what to go through first. We'll just go through these. It's easiest to get to. So you guys can take a look at these. So there is another tile that's under here somewhere that snaps in here. Basically, it's more variability, more change based on how you're playing. So you got Magneto, you got his acolytes, more acolytes. So it's pretty much all of his acolytes plus Magneto. Lieutenant Frenzy, Lieutenant Exodus, Fabian Cortez, Lieutenant. Okay, well, there's Colossus. I didn't know Colossus was one of his lieutenants. I'm gonna have to go back and read Fatal Attractions again. So, and then Lord Magneto versus Magneto, the Mutant Savior. Fatal Attractions is the arc where Magneto ripped Wolverine's adamantium out of his body. It's also, of course, Magneto creating Asteroid M and all that stuff. And then Fallen Mutants, you have, this is going to be Apocalypse, because you can already tell, Horsemen of War, Horsemen of Death, Famine, and Pestilence. Then you have the Master Apocalypse, the Master Lord of Clan Akaba, the Master Father of Iraqi, and the Master Ensab Noir. Ensab Noir? I guess I need to take these out because I need to be able to get to the game board at some point. All right, and then this is the Children of the Atom. So there's 2 stacks of this. So you get Avalanche, Pyro. So a lot of these are minor enemies. I guess there'll be some major ones too. Mesmero, Sauron, Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Juggernaut. Okay, so that's a challenging enemy is Juggernaut. Challenging enemy, Mystique. And then we have some more minors. So Toad, Blob, challenging enemy, the Sentinels, Omega Red. And then your final test. Okay, so here's your final bosses. Mr. Sinister, Master Mold, Silver Samurai, and the Shadow King. So they got a lot of variety in there. I mean, that's a lot of the staple villains for the X-Men. I kind of like that. As a fan of the X-Men, I like Marvel. Marvel's my favorite comic, franchise. But X-Men is my favorite Marvel, or basically favorite IP overall, anything, right? Comics or not comics. So here's your game board. So it is a pretty long game board. So it is, and that's basically the size of the box times 2 times 3. So this is going to take up some room on the table. I'd say that this is 8, 16, 32. It's probably a good almost 4 feet long. That's a pretty big board. So we get it all folded back up. There we go. Great. And then, so we'll go through these. So this is the first, you get acrylic Standees stands. Based on the way I have them packaged, these wouldn't work. You may be able to find another way to put them in there. But these are the acrylics. So we'll look at one of each of the characters. This is Gambit and Rogue. The nice thing is they are double-sided. So you have the front of Gambit, you have the back of Gambit. Something else, and we'll get to Wolverine, they're actually size accurate to, I guess, how big they're actually supposed to be. So there's Rogue in comparison to Gambit, right? And then you got the backside, right? But Wolverine, of course, is only about 5 foot. We'll see that in his acrylic standee. So here you can see you've got your evolution cards for Gambit, and then your evolution cards for Rogue. So for example, here, evolution upgrade, steel strength. After assigning Rogue and collecting any tokens from that space, you get 1, I guess, cube. I don't know what the cubes are of your choice. I think it's, oh, here it is. It is physical, mental, or willpower. So then you got Powerhouse. So these are just, again, more, basically you're upgrading your character and your player board. So that way you can do more on your actions. And then absorb memories. And then, so I didn't notice at the bottom, it does say, okay, so it says recommended, EV11, EV12. And then you have these ones here. It says it's optional, but it's not a recommended card. And then this one's a Rogue, another recommended card. So it looks like recommended is what you should play with, maybe your first playthrough, and then after that you can switch to these other ones. So that is Rogue and Gambit. Maybe get back in the bag. These bags I think are just slightly too small. Though this one works for Rogue and Gambit. One of them, it's like just, it was like right on the edge of being too small. I think this is one of them, which is Kitty and Lockheed. All right, so we will look at Kitty. I like the Kitty one was confusing me. I'm like, oh, like I didn't know how this worked when I started unboxing it. So I was like, why does Kitty look different than the other ones? But it's because they actually have her going through the wall. So that's kind of neat. And then on the back side, you can see her phasing through the wall. So once I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you have Lockheed there, the little dragon. And then, so for her cards, same thing. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of her, and 1, 2, 3, 4 of Lockheed. So same thing. It says recommended. This one says before assigning Lockheed, 2 of the, what is that again? Physical tokens. Assign Lockheed to a space containing a Kitty Pryde pawn. So again, I'm not sure the point of having more than one in one location because, like I said, magic, she's all by herself. You got mascot, phasing, and then, okay, so you can tell who they are on the front too. So this you can see is Lockheed. So they do have the art just ever so subtly on the cards themselves on the front and the back. But then some of these are just optional. It says optional. When assigning Kitty Pryde, take down your blue. Perform the effect of the space with Lockheed on it instead of the extraction zone. Okay. Again, don't know what that means. So I can't tell you how the game plays. Yeah, this one just barely fits. I might upgrade these to slightly bigger bags, but they fit. All right. So we got here. I think I'm just going to go through the cards a little bit quicker. Now we have an idea, but we're definitely going to look at all of the acrylic standees. So for the people that don't like miniatures, this is definitely a game for them. We like miniatures. And before I realized that each one of these was going to have a function, I was just going to play with the Marvel United miniatures, right, that we painted. But since you have to have multiples, we kind of can't do that. So then there is Wolverine. And like I said, Wolverine next to Jubilee, who Jubilee isn't, I mean, terribly tall, but you can see he's definitely shorter and more squat. If I remember correctly in the comics, he's like just at 5 foot or maybe slightly a couple inches below or above or below that. He's not as short as Puck, of course. Adamantium claws, healing factor. So a lot of these are kind of thematic too. Better Together, Fireworks, and Generation X. Was very excited to see more Generation X characters in Marvel United. Was disappointed we did not get them all. Also very confused with Monette, M, because they had her turning into, oh, dang it, I can't remember the name. Into her alt form, which isn't her alt form. That was a form she was trapped in as a shell. And then her brother, big weird thing to do there. And then her sisters got trapped in it. And then at some point they all three separated. And then she went off and was seen somewhere else in the comics. But I think in recent comics, she turned back into her again. So it's like, did she absorb the ability to be her? Is she a offshoot of her? Or are they just all family members? Because that's what it is. The family members can combine and form new versions. So maybe she's a long lost cousin, sister, something. Don't know. Oh, gotta do the standees first. I got sidetracked. I'm not a fan of this Cyclops. It's not one of my favorite Cyclops designs that they've had, and he looks very weird in this pose. He's kind of at a weird squat stance. He actually is pretty tall. If I remember correctly, he's like 6 foot. And then there is Jean Grey. So they did her as standard Marvel Girl outfit, not as Phoenix. Which I guess is another thing that's weird because they're not in the same era, it doesn't look like. Definitely not in the same era. They're all from different eras. So yeah, that's kind of weird. I mean, I guess it's artist interpretation. So yeah, so Optic Blast. I didn't read this on Wolverines, but he had the same thing. This card is only in the evolution space 3 or 4. Okay, so some of them have limitations of where you'll be able to put the upgrade cards. They both have one though. This evolution card can only be played in 3 or 4. And slim and red. So that is that. Yeah, see, I need more of this size bag. This size is perfect. Then we got Mystique. Like I said, she only has one mini. I mean, it's just one, and it's just her a whole bunch of times. There she goes. Or Magic, not Mystique, Magic. Holy cow. There is Magic. And the back. And same thing, it's kind of a weird thing, because it's almost like she's in her New Mutants costume, but then she has the metal arm. So, yeah, I guess the liberties they took with the art has kind of got it all over the place. Because, yeah, here you can kind of see it, too. Yeah. And it actually looks a lot better here than on her standee for some reason. But yeah, same thing. So she has, this one can only be put in a 4 or higher because she has 6 total. You must have Infernal Aptitude, so you have to have this in play to play this one. And you must have Infernal Mastery in play to get Infernal Power. So you have to basically play this one 4, this one 5, and this one 6. So that's a way, I guess, to slow her down. Stepping Discs, Soul Sword, Entrenched. And then this card can only be played on space 4 or higher. This can only be played on 4 or higher. So actually you would have to make your decision, because she's only got 6 spots. You wouldn't be able to do all the way these 2 upgrades if you did Darkchild instead. That's interesting. You could, I don't want to say you could mess yourself up in your own game, but I guess you could mess yourself up if you did that and then was like, oh, that's not my plan. That's not what I wanted to do. But maybe they play distinctly enough where you wouldn't care. You wouldn't, doesn't matter if you do the other 2. All right. And I think the last one is Storm and Forge. Forge pose is kind of just weird too. It's just he's just kind of standing there. He's not really doing much. Storms is okay. I mean, I like the acrylic standees better than cardboard standees. I get that they had to shrink things down quite a bit, but I feel like the art even isn't quite the same as what's on the cards. A lot of times I say I don't want the art to be the same as the card, but that is a much better, much more dynamic pose than what they went with on the standee. I would have preferred this as a full pose and in more of this art style. Technically, it would have saved them money too. They wouldn't have had to pay for extra designs. But yeah, Weather Control, Team Leader, Goddess, Loyalty, Flight, Quartermaster. This card can only be paid in 3, 4, or 5. So that, of course, is Forge. Oh, you gain additional students, support staff, and tech support. Okay. So there we go. I know he's working, at least I'm way behind on the comics. I know he's working with Storm in new, and they're still in the underworld. I'm not at the part where they got Krakoa yet. So these are your victory point tokens, just cardboard tokens. These are your resource tokens. So you got numbers on one side. So I guess they are random, what you're going to get. These are danger tokens, I guess, of some sort. These are danger tokens. These are actually acrylic too, because there's only one of each. So I guess it made sense to make these acrylic. So you have Magneto's helmet here with a 2 blue, which is willpower. Your time track, acrylic. And then you have different ones of these for each of the powers. So it looks like you take up by 6, take up by 3, take up by 3, 2, and 1. Not sure when or how that happens, but we have tokens for them. These are just wooden students. So the students are just generic people meeples, or head bust meeples. That's what it is. These are busts, right? So just a bunch of those guys. Come on, Ziploc bag, you can do it. And there we go. All right. These are the other pieces I mentioned that go on the left side of the board. So they're different colors to go with what they go with. Nothing on the back. So this one here is for Fall of the Mutants, for the Horsemen. And you can see here, they kind of go together like a puzzle piece. So that again allows for variable setup because any combination can go together. And then this impacts gameplay in some way, I'm guessing. There we go. Gotta be careful with those. Now, one thing I did notice with these, and I noticed them on feeling it, they're a little slick. I don't know why. All of the cardboard seem to be kind of slick, and it's got a residue because I still feel the residue in my hands from when I just punched this before I started the unboxing. So I don't know what that is. And then you have these two tiles. Looks like time track because you got that little time marker on there. And there are two sides of that. All right, and then last is the actual cards for the game. So one other thing, most of these baggies are mine. It came with some things in baggies, but of course I supplied the rest of my baggies. So these are looks like the Cerebro deck. So we'll go through. So there we go. So for example, here you got Fall of the Mutants, damaging a horseman. To place a player mark over any damage icon in the master villain tile, players must first pay additional resources equal to the combined resources amount on all horseman tokens still present on the villain tiles. Parameter 2. Okay, so these are the parameters for whichever game you're playing. So this is damaging and defeating the horseman, damaging and defeating the horseman, children of the atom, fatal attractions. Fatal attractions has 3. So fatal attractions 1, 2, and 3. So it looks like more variability based on which of the 3 sets you take. Now, I don't know if you can mix and match them, because the thing is, you've got to be able to mix and match them because there's nothing on the bottom that says, there's nothing on it that would tell me that these 3 go together. So if I mix these up somehow, I wouldn't even know that these were the 3 original that go together, besides this unboxing video. So then there's your 2 Children of Atom. So Children of the Atom only has 1 option. This is it. That's the only way you can play it. The other ones have some more variability. Put those in there. And then these are, like I said, these are the Cerebro cards. So it's got Professor X on the back. Like I said, they continued the artwork, the kind of pastel watercolor artwork. So Banshee Ally. Again, don't know what you're gaining or losing. He has a leader trait for Generation X. At the end of the round, score 6 victory points for each hero you have on a Generation X green or blue space. Beast, Dazzler, Dr. Celia Reyes. Yeah, so okay, so Emma Frost was actually, you're right, she was not in the bad guy, so they actually have her as a good guy. I don't know how long she was a good guy and how long she was a bad guy. It's always confused me. Iceman, but it's old school Iceman, where he is not ice. Moira McTaggart. Nightcrawler, one of my favorite. Sage. Anole. See, this is what I'm saying. It's like they're crossing generations, because Anole is a more recent Avenger, right? But if you go back to the Iceman, this is an old school Iceman, right? Same as Miss Marvel's an old school design for Miss Marvel. Or Marvel Girl, sorry. Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel and lots of Marvels. Chamber, Generation X. So we did get him. Cypher from New Mutants. So it makes sense doing the New Mutant design on Magic, because there are New Mutant characters. Generation X, Husk. That was a cool mini in the campaign. Mondo, we didn't get Mondo in the campaign. Pixie was a previous. We didn't get, did we get Skin? Can't remember if we got Skin. Stepford Cuckoos, which a lot of people wanted that as well. That was a big ask during last campaign. Sync, we didn't get. People were asking for him. Cannonball, Megan, Multiple Man. Cool how they did Multiple Man in Marvel Zombies, where he is the zombie, because then it kind of makes sense for him to be a zombie horde all on his own. Rachel Summers, Phoenix, Polaris, Quicksilver, Richter, Siren, Strong Guy, Sunspot, Wolfsbane. There's Professor X. All new. Okay, so those were the green cards. So those look like I don't know what the green refresh symbol card is, but those are the green cards. And then these are the blue ones. So team up card, the all new X-Men. Okay, so they do have the all new X-Men in here, which were the ones that were brought forward in time. Angel, don't know which Angel. Bishop, Colossus. Okay, so these are just more characters now. So I think this was the. So rather than, I guess, putting them each on their individual, they put them together as a group. Now, one thing I did just notice, so expansions are probably incoming. If you look in the bottom corner, it says core deck. There we go, core deck. So they've already got plans for expansions. I don't know. Or no, I'm sorry. I stand fully corrected. There could be expansions now. However, there could be expansions in the future. Not to say there wouldn't be. But it does look like some of these cards are based on what you're playing. So these ones you can only play if you're playing Children of the Atom or Fall of the Mutants. There we go. Colossus. Psylocke. Okay, so these are all team-up cards, it looks like. So these were allies. Okay, the blue ones are team-up. All right. It's making more sense to me. I'm learning the game as I unbox it. Sunfire. Armor was another one we all wanted to see in Marvel United, because I think they could have done a good job making not even a full shell, just a quasi shell. Like here, it looks like she doesn't have a full shell on her. Like they could have done the mini and then done a plastic shell around the backside of her. I think she would have been really cool. They did reveal one more character today, which was Electro or Shocker. Shocker. So not to say they can't introduce some more. Dust, Ink. Ink's cool. Ink, his tattoos are his powers. So whatever tattoos he can activate them as powers. So if he gets a radioactive symbol, he can do radioactive stuff. Karma, M, so there's Monette. Magma, Boom Boom, Cable, Captain Britain, Dominant. They're bringing them all out. They might not be able to make expansions. They've got everybody in here. Havoc, Shatterstar, Warpath, Mirage, Rock Slide. So again, he's another one of the newer Young Mutants. All right. So those are your team ups, and then these are your event cards. So let's hear it. Let's read. It looks like there's a lot of duplicates. Return one of your heroes to your player board, then assign a hero or student from your player board to an open space. Fastball special, always good to see. Assign a hero or student from your player board to an open space on a, what was that, team ups? Yes, team up mission tile. Found family. Some mission prep. So it looks like there's 2 of each of the different, well, no, there was only one of those. Team building exercises. Either that or I'm missing a card. So far, that's the only one that was a single. Nope. Okay, now we're back here in the back. It looks like it's all singles again. Or no, there was Shadow Force. Is that the one I said was a single? Yeah. So no, they're just out of order because there's 2 Shadow Forces. Graduation Day. So there might be 2 of each, or maybe not. Shifting loyalties. So that's Emma Frost switching teams. There's graduation day. Yeah, training. Okay, so it looks like there are 2 of each. It's just at a certain point they were no longer in order. All right, so let's see if I can get everything back in the box the way I had it, or more efficiently than I had it. Both are highly or likely and unlikely all in the same time. All right, so boom, boom, boom. So we'll put this key. I keep one of these in here. Living in Florida, I got to keep my little things there. The anti-humidity moisture bags. They say throw them away and don't eat. So I'm not eating it, but I'm not throwing it away either. Board game police are going to come after me. All right. So I had all of these kind of just sitting here, single layered. I just have these here to try to prevent other cards from sliding on top of these ones. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if they did. But see, because this is a different height, I feel like that might help keep that from happening. And then put these here. Put these here. These were the ones that were they didn't quite fit the way I wanted them to. So I want them to stay lower than the boards. All right, that worked. Take these here. Here. I have those there. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. Oh, box fart. And get all the way down and no, there we go. Gotta do it this way. No lid lift. So there we go, guys. That is Age of Heroes. If you want to see the live gameplay, make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell notification to know when we go live. It may be a little while before we play this unless I have to move some games around, in which case it might be sooner than later. We do have a couple Marvel games coming up in the near future. So again, you want to watch those. Subscribe button is the way to get notified. Actually, the notification button is the way to get notified. Subscribe is just going to show it up in your feed if you happen to miss the live feed, which works out just as well. Otherwise, guys, until next time, peace.